Welcome to In the Lane, a NBA and Miami Heat podcast. I am your host, Tony Schwartz, and I have a super special guest with us today. Okay, we know him. He might not know us. So, Derrick, what does that make you?
I guess I'm famous enough.
I guess you're famous enough, man.
I'm famous enough.
I appreciate you spending the time and taking time out of your day to come on here and talk with us today. I hope you're doing good today, man.
I'm alive. That's all I can ever ask for.
10 toes down is always a beautiful way to be.
Facts.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, right? Like there's some misconceptions. There's some people who don't understand. I don't know if you saw, but I ran a poll on my Twitter account that got about 300 votes. So that's enough for a Family Feud episode. And I asked, did you even know that the Heat group participated in 2K League, that they have a professional eSports team? And about half of them said no. Do you think that's surprising? Is that more par for the course of what you generally see from basketball fans?
I think it's right on par. You know, the league is still extremely new. Even though we're in our fourth season, it's still extremely new. You know, COVID kind of took away a year of us marketing to the Heat fans and stuff like that. The first couple years that we've been involved, we've been at the arena, we've been in game, we've been introduced to games and stuff like that. But you know, these past 2 years has been really difficult when it comes to COVID. So it's definitely on par. It's definitely on par.
Well, we're going to try our absolute best over the course of these next few months to just make sure people understand you're there, because you guys are doing a fantastic job of building your brand and you're working so hard to build a professional team. But Derrick, what is 2K League? Like at its base level, what are you guys doing and what are you trying to accomplish?
So 2K League is really just a professional league that plays 2K that's owned by the NBA. So it's owned by the NBA and Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two Interactive is the company that makes NBA 2K. So that's this merger. There's 23 teams in our league. 22 of them are owned by NBA teams, with the Miami Heat being one of the teams that owns our team, which is Heat Check Gaming. We compete from the spring all the way to this year. We're going all the way to September this year. Inside those 6 months that we're doing this, there's 3 tournaments that happens: the tip off, the turn, and the ticket. Within inside those, and then there's also the playoffs, just like the NBA. There's a draft, just like the NBA. The prize, we have a prize pool of $1.5 million that the players are able to earn throughout the year. They also have salaries, just like regular NBA players. So it's really a huge deal on the forefront, because we are one of the only esports leagues that do have salaries for players. A lot of times, a lot of these esports leagues, they have you know, payouts and stuff like that, but their salaries are not on par with ours. You know, there's maybe 1 or 2 other leagues that have a higher salary than us for their players.
So you just heard yourself say all this, right? When you think back to, you know, your childhood, when you're younger, maybe the first time you're touching a console, but you tell yourself this: hey, man, you're going to be paid to coach and manage a professional esports league. Could you even fathom it?
I couldn't even see that coming. Like, there was no way I could have ever saw this coming. Even the year that the league was announced, I did not see this coming. So it's like really, really one of those things that just kind of pop up on you. Growing up, my mom was like, she was one of those ones that's like, you playing the game too much, get off the game, go do something. And now she's the Miami Heat fly her out, you know, and have her in a center court and stuff like that. And she's like, this is crazy. These people out here really love you. And it's just great for me to be able to let her experience this, because, you know, I never saw it coming. She never saw it coming. So now we both get the fruits of the labor.
People love you is maybe an understatement. I think everywhere you look, in every team, every quote that I can find about you, everyone glows. You were so integral to the community building to get 2K to this point, but you weren't always a 2K gamer, right?
Yeah. So, you know, so I'm gonna give you a little the backstory on how I got here. Um, I was in the Army. I deployed twice. First time to Taji, Iraq. Second time to Kandahar, Afghanistan. When I was in Afghanistan, is when I first started playing 2K at the USO. The USO is like this organization that helps out, soldiers and stuff in deployed areas. They set up camps. They set up these little big centers that have gaming stations, computers, phones, all this stuff that you can be able to communicate back home and stuff like that. The newest movies they have for us to watch and stuff like that. Just lo and behold, one time when I went in there, they had 2K15, and it had just got it. I started playing it, and it was a really cool game. I never thought I would make myself on the game, and I made myself on the game and kind of got into it and figured out that I was really good at it. Fast forward, I got out the Army because my daughter, she was like, at the time, she was like 4, and she was really, really scared of me, quote unquote, dying while I was deployed. And that's at that point is when I realized that, this is it for me. I got to figure something else out. I can't have her have those thoughts at such an early age. I got out the Army, had no clue what I wanted to do. I started going to school for marketing. I was back home in Houston going to school. Then I figured out that I wanted to get my master's in analytics. So I was looking for the best analytics schools in the nation, and one of the ones was in Indiana. So I ended up moving from Houston to Indiana to become a resident in Indiana, so I can, so I don't have to pay out of state fees for school and stuff like that. And I just gravitated towards more playing 2K. And I got to the point was like, I came up with this concept of Famous Enough, where I wanted to promote players and promote teams, because I didn't feel like all the time that we was putting into this game, we wasn't getting recognition. At the time, I was just strictly thinking about content, because I was like, oh my God, I can become a big YouTuber off of this, because, people will love this type of stuff. And I created something called Pro-Am Sports Center, where I just started putting these people on the Sports Center like platform where it looks like Sports Center. I talk like Sports Center, had the whole Sports Center theme and everything, and the community loved it. Fast forward, the 2K League is announced, and then when it's announced, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to help me with all my content. This and third. I was not thinking about being a part of it. Just wanted to do the content for it. I just want to do my own thing in the back, yada yada and third. As time went, as a couple months passed, I'm like, you know what? I want to be a part of this some kind of way. So I ended up applying for the Kings job first. I went on 2 interviews with them, and ultimately they ended up telling me, no, we're going to look for somebody else, because, we're looking for somebody who has experience in partnerships, this, that, and the third. I had none. All I knew was 2K. So I fast forward. This was 2017. This was August of 2017. December of 2017, the Miami Heat put out their hiring stuff. So I applied. Didn't think too much about it. I was going on my day. January comes around, I started getting more interviews. I interviewed with the Blazers, a couple other teams, talk with the Knicks, talk with a couple different other teams, right? And comes around, I want to say January the 8th of 2018. I randomly get a message from Ben Spoon. He's the CEO of Misfits Gaming, and they have a partnership with the Miami Heat. And he sends me this cryptic email, DM saying something like, "We need to talk." And I'm like, he's like, "We need to talk. Send me your phone number." He leaves his email. And my first thing I'm thinking, like, why didn't you just ask for my phone number right here in a DM? But he sent his email. So I emailed it to him, and I keep going back to the DM, seeing if he's going to say something. So I said, I sent it, and nothing. Dude says nothing at all. So the very next day, he calls me, random number, called me out of nowhere. And I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, it's like a normal conversation, like I'm having with one of my best friends. Like keep in mind, I've never spoken to Ben ever in my life. And we having this normal conversation, like we're just like best friends, it's like super, super like whatever's going on. Like he's saying, he's cursing, I'm cursing and stuff like that. So I'm not thinking nothing about it. We get about 45 minutes into the phone call, and he's like, wait a minute, what teams are you talking to? And I tell him like 4 or 5 team names or whatever. And keep him. And the crazy part about this conversation that I'm having, in the middle of me talking to Ben, I get an email from a team saying that they're looking another way. So my joy is up while I'm talking to Ben, but then I get this email where I was like, oh my God, type thing, right? And so he asked me, what teams I'm talking to, and I'll tell him. Of course, I include the team that just told me no.
Right.
I include the team that just told me no, And he goes something like, he's like, well, we're gonna have to get you on a phone with some people from the Heat. I said, okay, cool. Usually, a lot of times when you talk with these NBA teams and they say, we're gonna get you on a call with somebody, we're gonna get back to you. We're talking about a month at least. It's gonna be like this a month later at least. The very next morning, I get an email from Miami Heat trying to set up a call for that day. That day. So I'm like, okay, cool. I get off work at this time, yada yada the third, and we can talk around this time. So when I get off work, I get a call from them about 2:30. It's Michael McCullough. Prior to this phone call, I had no clue who Michael McCullough was. In that email, there was a bunch of names that were CC'd on it. Obviously, I hopped on LinkedIn before I got on that call and looked up everybody. and, and I look at Michael and I'm like, oh my God, like this guy is the real deal. Like he's a legend in the NBA world. Michael created White Hot. He came up with the Vice campaign, and he's super, super in tune with so much stuff. He calls me, and he has this polarizing voice. It's like super in your face, and same things happening though. We having this conversation like I had with Ben, where we're just having this crazy conversation just about a bunch of random stuff. And there's a bunch of people in the room with him. Like I can hear everybody else, but only Michael is talking to me. Like he'll ask me a question and he'll put the phone on mute. And while the phone is coming off mute, I can hear the other people speaking to him, saying things and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, this is pretty insane. So conversation lasts about an hour or so, and Michael's like, we really like you, but we're gonna keep in touch with you. We'll get back to you. So now I'm thinking like, okay, here comes the month wait. We're gonna be waiting a month from this. So the first call was on a Monday from Ben. That call was on a Tuesday from Michael. I go to work the next day, which is a Wednesday. Thursday morning, I get an email from the Heat saying, we need to talk to you today. So I'm like, this is odd. This is odd. I've been on a few interviews already, and like this has never happened. So I'm about to get ready to have my third conversation with the Heat in 4 days. And I'm like, this is super crazy. As soon as we get on the phone call, Michael immediately tells me, hey, we want to offer you the job. And he's like, we don't never do this because, we like to meet everybody in person and make sure the vibe is right and make sure everything just checks out. And he's like, we just feel really good about you and we don't want to lose you. So we want to offer you the job right now. This was Thursday that they offered me the job. On Saturday, I'm getting like packages from the Heat HR department. I'm getting my contract to sign for them. I'm getting a bunch of crazy stuff. Like everything's moving slow at first for me from August 2017. Now we're in January of 2018, and everything is just moving really, really fast. A week after that, they fly me out to Miami, and we shoot this promo video where I'm standing in the middle of the Heat's practice court, and I'm saying, I wanted to choose a champion. I want to pick a winner. I want to pick this, and the third. And I put my hands up and I say I chose Miami. And as the screen pans out, you see the championship banners behind me and stuff like that, which is really, really cool feeling. I never thought I would be in that position. I never thought I would be there. So I go back home and I go back to Indiana and go back to work. Well, I go back to work and I tell them, hey, this is gonna be it for me. I won't be coming back here. I tell them, I'm probably gonna move out to Miami soon. Like my boss had already knew about everything. He was in tune with it. He was even letting me do interviews in his office. Because the whole company that I worked for a private airline company. They was behind me 110%. They knew everything I was going through. They kept up with my journey and stuff like that. To this day, it's been 4 seasons. To this day, they still keep up with my journey and tell me how I'm doing and stuff like that, which is really awesome. So February 22nd is when I officially moved to Miami and started preparing for the draft. First season come around, we start off really slow, but then we go on a win streak. We went on a 5-game win streak, and we went all the way to the finals. We didn't win, but it was a great, awesome experience for that first season for us.
We'll talk about specifically trying to build something from nothing, right? Like I think at one point you called it almost like running a startup. And you guys are really out there doing it yourself to the point that I'm watching YouTube videos where you're packing up cables, my man. You are literally packing up all your stuff after a season ends. So when I talked to Tony Fiorentino about starting the expansion Heat team, it was all about trying to build a culture
Yeah.
of how to be a professional and how to be a winner. Just because nothing existed there. When you're going to draft that first team, how much of that is in your thought process?
It's all about it's in there heavy because I don't want to let nobody down. I don't want to let this team down. They put all the faith in me. I have other community people in our community that I feel needed jobs in this as well. So I know that if I did well, then those guys will also get chances at this. So it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot of stress. It was stressful. It was stressful as hell starting off, man. When you're coming to something like when you're coming into something, you're given this role. I was given a role when he hired me. My official title was eSports coordinator. To this day, on
Mhm.
my badge, it still says eSports coordinator. About 2 or 3 weeks into the season, they came up to me and said, "We're going to change your role. We're going to change it from GM, from eSports coordinator to general manager and head coach." I was already doing all these things that I have that was with the title, but I have a bunch of stuff I have to do. I have a lot of stuff I have to do, and I'm literally the only employee of Heat on Heat Check Gaming. I'm the only employee. We get a lot of people that from the Heat that does a lot of stuff for us, but when it comes to like payroll, I'm the only employee on Heat Check Gaming. So I have a lot of hats I have to wear, and the culture part is really really big. That first draft, I probably was more nervous for this first draft than I was when my daughter was born because it's a lot. It was a lot going on. Um, when that draft happened, I knew that I wanted to pick Hot Shot, who is a local Miami person, and I felt like me being able to pick somebody that was from Miami that was going to set the tone for how this team is going to be. Because if you go back and look at people that plays for their teams that they're from the areas they're from, that means so much more to them. When LeBron came to Miami, he was like, "Hey, I have to go back to Cleveland and win a title for Cleveland," and he won it for Cleveland. It meant so much to him to win that for his own city where he came from. So when I picked Hot Shot, that was like my thinking. And after the first pick, I made the first pick, and that's like this video out there of me going to embrace Hot Shot. He's already nervous. He's shaking and stuff like that. I'm already nervous, and I go up to he reaches out to shake my hand, and I'm like, I grab him and pull him in, like like you're mine. And as soon as I gave him this hug and embracement, like I had like tears rolled down my eyes, like I'm really here, and I really just made this first pick, and it's crazy. It's such a crazy, crazy feeling, man.
It was a great pick, and you guys went on a hell of a run. How challenging do you find it now after having success in the chaos of that first
Yeah.
season? Now things are starting to structure out a little bit more, and you're trying to get back to that place.
Yeah. So I have this talk all the time because people don't understand the amount of pressure that you have. You go to the finals in the first season, and all everybody's talking about is you got to get back, you got to get back, you got to get back.
Mm-hmm.
Season two came around, and we picked 19 out of 20 teams, and we picked 19. And I was telling the guys already, I was like, it's going to be really, really difficult for us to get the pieces we need with us picking so far in the draft, but it's not going to happen in one season. It might not happen in 2 seasons, but we'll get there. And then the picks started coming, and everything started falling into place. And I'm like, wait a minute, we might have a chance. We might have a chance to get back. Season starts, and the tip-off tournament comes around, and we make it to the semifinals in the tip-off tournament. I said, we might have something here. We might have something. And then the season starts, and it starts off slow. And all you're thinking about is, oh my God, this is not going how I want to go. Let's try to make a move. Let's try to make a move to change some things around. And, a lot of times you swing for the fences. When you swing for the fences, you might hit a deep fly ball, and it's at the warning track and you're out. Sometimes you might get the home run, but at this point, it was just a deep fly ball for us, and we're out at the warning track, and the season was like, oh my God, it's a bad season. And so season three come around, and we're trying to right those same wrongs, and not thinking about, sometimes you got to have slow progression is
Mm-hmm.
better than no progression. And so that's what ended up happening. Our progression starts becoming like it's nothing there. This season comes around, and we start off slow. And a lot of times when season starts off slow, the players around you play a big factor in that. They can either understand that this is a long ass season and things will pan out, or they can panic. They can panic. If the players panic, then there's little to nothing that the coach can do to try to right those wrongs. We can try to get them back on track, try to motivate them to do this, and the third, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. This year it just happened to work out. We started the season 1-7, and then we go on a 7-game win streak, and then we lose out the last game we played, so now we're at 8-8, and we're right in the thick of a good playoff run that we control. We control our destiny at this point, where there's been a long season of 28 games, where we have a chance to do some incredible things this year.
The team is really turning around about halfway through the season. And how important do you find it that centerpiece, that first draft pick, is still in that room?
It's a big part of everything. I will always say, I've been saying it since season one, that Hotshot is one of the best players in the world. And he embraces that. We finally got a point guard that can help him out in Sav, he's a phenomenal player. And all the other pieces just make sense around these guys. If there's one person in the room that brings it down, that that's negative, they can bring the whole team down. It's happened in multiple years for us, and we was able to clean it up this year. And Sav came around, and Sav is playing like one of the best players in the world as well. So it's like, oh my God, we have something really, really special here.
Yeah, he's dominating. The next time that Killy is up for a player of the week, we are going to retweet the crap out of that. We can't let that slide again.
Well, speaking of Killy, though, Killy's he's a rare person in this league, because we don't have free agents in this league. In this league, it's only drafts. It's trading and drafts. So if a player's in the league 1 year and they out and their team doesn't keep them, they just go right back into the draft pool to get redrafted. There's no free agents. There's no mid-season acquisitions and stuff like that. We had a player quit our team this year, which rarely happens in this league, where a player just decides and they don't want to play. They want to drop out the league. And so we had a player quit this league, this team, when we were, I don't know, we were 0-4 when he quit, and he just decided, he was done. And so he quit the team. And so, I hit up the league. I was like, hey, he quit. He said he want to be out. And, it was like, well, we'll push the paperwork, just start thinking about what player you want to replace him. And Killy was in the league last year. He played for Gen G, which is an eSports team. The only eSports team that's actually in our league is Gen G. And Killy played for them last year. He went undrafted in the season 4 draft. The Pistons had problems with a couple of the players being able to come straight to market. So the Pistons picked Killy up as a replacement player. And the Pistons player finally was able to come. So they was like, okay, thanks a lot, Killy. You can go back home, which is like a bittersweet thing for Killy, because he goes undrafted, which is really, really painful for these players. He starts playing what we call post draft. That's in our amateur scene. He's playing post draft. The Pistons make a call and say, hey, you want to come play for us in this tournament because we need a player, because so and so can't make it. Killy goes to them. He goes and play for them. And their player comes, and they're like, okay, we're done with you. Back to the streets you go, type of thing, right? And then we have this problem with this player not playing with that doesn't want to play for us. And I hit the league, and they're like, who do you want? Killy, give me Killy. And Killy comes through, and we go 7-1 with him. 1-7 to 7-1. It's like a crazy flip that nobody would ever expect to happen. And we became one of the most dangerous teams in this league when we picked up Killy.
Yeah, you guys are definitely on a hot streak. Ignore the pun, right? When you got there in 2018, I think, you looked around at other coaches and general managers and didn't see too much representation.
Yeah.
Now the league's starting to fill out and becoming a little more diverse at its leadership spaces. How much thought have you put into trying to market that direction, making sure that the league is always focusing on paying attention to diversity and strengthening out its core?
It was crazy, because they have a really, really inclusion and diversity department, and they make sure that everybody's accounted for. The great thing about this league is that they listen to our voices. They listen to our voices to see what we have to say. Last year, during the Black Lives Matter campaign, when we was playing on ESPN2, at the finals, me, Kurt, from Ivan Curtis from the Nets GC, and Big West from Charlotte Hornets, Venom. We got to talk on ESPN2 right before the final started with Autumn Johnson about Black Lives Matter, which was a really really big deal. And I think that we were the only one of the only leagues that was still going on doing all this. And so we was able to have this conversation. And so our leadership department with the NBA 2K League, they look out to us, they look out for us, they make sure that our voices are heard, and not only are they heard, they let us be able to speak up what we have to say about it.
Yeah, and you get into a great story there about you being stopped by police and harassment that you had to go through. That stays with you, right? And you're trying to bring light to those topics as much as you can.
Yeah, because I like to tell the guys, I'm at this position I'm at, but I wasn't always here, right? I was always just another number, another, whatever, And so if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And I always tell them I wasn't the first person that this happened to, and I won't be the last. But if you're able to speak your piece and go on about your day and let people understand your story when it comes to these things, it just brings more awareness to it. I wasn't trying to form some type of pity because I was 17 when that happened. So this was years and years ago, but in the same sense, it's still going on. It's still going on. So for them to understand that it can happen to anybody, because a lot of these guys and these girls in our community, they look up to me and what I have to say, and sometimes somebody could say something that's not me, and it just goes over their head. But a lot of times when it comes from me, then it's like, okay, I understand what Famous is saying. I got to be more aware of my surroundings and my situation.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you is just how much representation you have for a lot of folks and how much your voice matters. If I can swing it back for a second to 2K, when you guys play, you're not playing on the build that's linked into my PlayStation 4. You guys are playing on a completely unique build. Is there some details that you can share about how it's different from me just popping on my team and getting beat by 50 points?
So this build is really, really unique, and it's been that way for the last 4 seasons. This season right here is the first season that we're playing actually on the console. The previous 3 seasons we played on computer. So now we actually playing on PS5. We're playing the build does have a next gen type of mode to it, but it's a lot different. We don't have all the signature moves that everybody have. We don't have all the jump shots that everybody have. It's a lot harder. What you plan on, if you load up right now and you go to Pro-Am right now, you might be playing on Superstar or something like that. That's the difficulty level. We're playing on Hall of Fame level. We're playing on a Hall of Fame level. It's an elevated Hall of Fame level where, it's a lot harder to shoot on. It's a lot harder to do it's a lot harder to move on. It's a lot harder to do a lot of stuff on. And our bills are only 95 overall. In previous years, they was only 92 overall. So we got to bump this year to 95 overall. A lot of people, when they're playing Pro-Am, they grind throughout the year. So their players are 99. So we don't get all those extra perks that comes with being a 99 overall. So it's players it's people that watch our games, watch our streams, and they think that they're better than our pros, and that's just not the case. These guys are doing they're doing stuff that you would be doing with a 99 and a souped up character. We're doing this all with a 95, and they're still dominating these games.
I guarantee you, I'm not doing anything even close to what your players are doing. I find it interesting, though, as you talk about what people, the outside perspective of what esports is. I found you talking about tier listing coaches one time on your YouTube.
Yeah.
Just how often does it happen, and how frustrating is it that it feels like comparisons of other jobs, of other people, of people inside your own league, that sticks, and people are always trying to compare and contrast what you guys are doing with what's happening outside of the league?
Yeah, so a lot of times, to get off 2K for a minute, they try to compare A lot of people try to compare what we do to like other esports, and I have to tell them that this is really, really unique. This is not like another esport. We can place esport on the name, on the title, but it's so different because other esports don't have drafts. They don't have drafts. They can just say, we want this player, we want this player, we want this player, and they can just go out and pay those players and get those players and have the best team that they can put up. But we have to go through a draft. We have to go through a draft. We don't get to keep the same team every year. A good number of our players have to go through expansion draft and stuff like that. So it's a lot different. Now, when it comes to like these tier lists with these coaches and stuff like that, I don't mind it. I really don't mind it at all. I'm one of the ones that's rooting for everybody. I want everybody to get their shine. I don't care to be compared to anybody. I don't think there's nobody like me at all that's doing this. I don't think there's nobody that's better than what I do at this. So when the community or this other outside media that we have in our community that wants to compare us and pit us against each other, that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. I know that the players that I have, they want to play for me and only me. I know the players that I have understand my philosophy. I know the players that I have understand what I'm trying to accomplish here. And I know the players that I have know that I care about them. So those type of things don't bother me at all. I just keep it moving. I think in that list that you're talking about, I think I was like a tier 2 list or something.
Tier 2.
And even in the stream, when they was putting this list together, they was actually streaming it on Twitch. And I was like, no, put this person above me, because, that's just how I am. At the end of the day, the people who actually make those decisions and stuff like that, it is what it is. The Heat still pay me what they pay me, and it's not going to change,
So you had to battle through the COVID season. You had to battle through your third season. You're starting to push.
I'm going to tell you this. That COVID season last year was the most difficult time of my life.
You're in a whole different room, Derric. You're coaching them from a completely different space.
Yeah. So that COVID season was hard. I don't think nobody was ready for it. First of all, nobody was ready for it. Nobody didn't understand the effects it was going to have on players. Nobody understood the effects it was going to have on coaches. We was usually every year we usually travel for our games to New York. Every single week we was traveling to our games from New York. So now COVID happened and we're no longer traveling. So we play out of the building that we live out of. And so when we practice out of the building we were living out of, right? And so those first couple of seasons, practices, whatever, we could practice out of here, no problem, because we know we was going to fly to New York to play our games. But when it came to the COVID season, we realized that our internet was not strong at all in this building. And so things got difficult. And so during the COVID, you realize if you watched our games during that season last year, then you could see that we're playing out of a totally different room. We end up having to move all of our stuff to the arena, and we played out of one of the locker rooms at the arena, which was a dope experience for the guys, because it's you're playing out of a locker room that the NBA players be in and stuff like that. So it's a really, really dope experience for them, but it's a trek. I mean, the arena is only 15 minutes away from where we live at, but think about us having to do this every single day. We have to go up there to practice. We had to come back home. Then we had to go up there for games, then come back home. And it was just crazy. It was like a ghost town in that arena. The only people that was in that arena was us and security. It was like, we're talking about big arena. And there's only seven of us, a couple janitors every once in a while. And then you had like 3 or 4 security guys there. And it's like, oh my God, this is a ghost town. And so it was really different. A lot of times during the season, I allow my guys to go home because, you get homesick. You want to go home a little bit during our bye weeks. If we have long breaks in between, they take a trip home for a couple of days and come back. It was difficult for them to go home during COVID because some players were able to go home towards the middle of the season, but then the players that lived in New York, they could not go home at all because New York was a hotbed for COVID at the time. So they could not go home at all. I had 2 players from New York that could not go home at all. I had a player from Miami that's right here. His mom lived up the street, go home, out in third. A player from Pennsylvania was able to go home. A player from Detroit was able to go home. But I had 2 players from New York that had to stay here all the time, and it was really really tough, man. It was really tough. That was a tough season.
So you guys are there in the arena, no one's there. How tempted are you to go to wings that you're not usually supposed to go to?
I mean, I have authorization to go everywhere. Like my key card works at every door, so I can go everywhere. But it's like one of those things where it's just so quiet. You can hear a pin drop once you're walking through the hallways that you don't want to be anywhere but in the place you want to be in, because it's just super quiet there, man.
You see leagues like the WNBA start expanding through the power of sponsorships, right? The Googles, the AT&Ts coming on board when normally they wouldn't have backed leagues like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsors are starting to really link into the esports scene and start to push that. How has your sponsors kind of empowered your success?
So it's really dope that you say that, because we have 3 incredible sponsors this year. And there's more to come that they're working on. But we have FTX. FTX, they just sponsored the arena at the for the Heat, and when they did that, they also sponsored us as well. They have the naming rights to our practice facility. And you're going to see when the streams come pop up, you're going to start seeing a lot of their name and stuff on our screens, in our rooms and stuff like that. You probably already see it on the signage in our games. You'll see FTX.US on our signage in the games. We also have Zip Chair Gaming. They got us new chairs and stuff like that. They send us a desk that I haven't put up together. That's another thing. That's another thing. These chairs. These zip chairs are awesome. But when I got these chairs, they sent us 7 chairs out the gate, and I had to put all of them together. That's part of being the startup stuff. I had to put all these chairs together, right? Another sponsor that we have is Florida Institute of Sports Vision, and these are the glasses. I'm wearing some glasses from them. They're gamer glasses, but they're also prescribing. And these literally the best glasses that I've ever had. I've been wearing glasses since I was 15, and these are the best glasses I've ever had. They're going to do some incredible things with us, where they're going to improve the players' reaction times to when they see something to when they press the button. It's a crazy concept. We're going to have some content coming out that we're explaining all this on with them. So Florida Institute of Sports Vision, they're incredible people. Amanda and James Nancy, they're great. They're located right in Pembroke Pines, so very, very local to us. So it's really cool. I can't wait till we start rolling out this content that we're doing with these sponsors, so you guys can see exactly how they are empowering us this year.
Yeah, and the fact that you put 7 chairs together yourself, you would be very impressed compared against our CEO, who got sent some gaming chairs, and I think had to use his daughter to assist him to make one. You're in good company.
Hey, I'm just gonna say it's not as easy as it looks. But if I put a couple together, I get a game plan going, and I'm rolling at that point. But I think one of my players asked me, they was like, "Famous, how long did it take you to put this chairs together?" I said it could have taken me 3 hours, but I was on my phone most of the time, so it took me 6 hours to put together.
So, Famous man, you've taken an awesome amount of time out to talk to me today, brother. I appreciate so much of what you do, and I definitely appreciate you rocking in the lane with me.
I appreciate you for having me, and I want to welcome all Heat fans to what we do, because it's an awesome product that we put out there.
Yeah, and the point of this interview really is to try and bridge 2 different products of the same family together. Like, we all exist as part of the same family and same community, and we got to support each other. Okay, Killy can't not get Player of the Week again. I refuse to allow this.
I wholeheartedly agree, because he went up against some tough competition. But
yes.
In the same sense, he has a really unique story that a lot of people need to hear about.
I think that I would do disservice, especially to let listeners behind the scenes, how many times I ruined my own intro, if I didn't let you take us out, man.
I'm famous enough from Heat Check Gaming, and my slogan is, if you know me, but I don't know you, then I guess I'm famous enough.
Peace.